Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world premiere of Singin live in concert. This is the most extraordinary venue and a perfect place to open this wonderful show. Gene had such reverence for the music makers, the people who composed the music, and also for the extraordinary arrangers. And some of you may know that MGM, with all its tremendous foresight, destroyed all of the orchestrations for most of the MGM musicals. They threw them away. Singin' Rain's music went into a large landfill that became the 405 freeway in California. So thanks to your UK conductor, John Wilson, who very meticulously reconstructed these scores, sometimes taking hours to create just a few bars of music, you're going to hear what you will hear tonight. Now, Gene's real love affair was with the musicians, so I have to thank all of these people tonight, because without them, and without the people who recorded the original MGM scores, you didn't have a Gene Kelly, and he was very, very reverent about that. He was on the stage when all of the music was originally recorded in MGM. But what you're going to hear tonight is just about as close as you will ever come to what Gene heard that day on the sound stage. I thought I'd tell you a couple stories. Some of you may have seen this movie before. I actually met a few people earlier who've never seen it, so I think that's just wonderful. What a great place to see it for the first time. On a large screen, with a magnificent audience, and with this beautifully, newly restored print. Gene worked as a director on this, as a choreographer, and he happens to appear in front of the camera also. He thought that Donald O'Connor was the true unsung hero, and he said he was probably the greatest improvisational comedian, and people just didn't buy him as a leading man. He thought Gene Hagen was the glue that held this picture together. The only real argument that he and co-director Stanley Donen and the producer Arthur Freed had about this movie was the casting of Gene Hagen. Arthur Freed and Stanley Donen wanted a more glamorous woman, and Gene said Gene Hagen is the right woman, and she was nominated for an Academy Award for this role. Sid Charisse was never supposed to be in this picture, but Donald O'Connor had a previous commitment, and they had this Broadway melody that they had to do. And Debbie Reynolds wasn't a skilled enough dancer to complete that. So they brought in Sid after she had a new baby. And Sid was a classically trained ballet dancer who was in the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. And so Gene taught her how to dance jazz. And I think some of you will agree that when you see her in that dress that's slid up, she learned how to dance jazz. It's interesting, Gene said he used to have to fool the censors. I don't know how many of you know that, but at that time, they would come in and pre-measure all of the costumes. They had to be a certain length. You couldn't show any décolletage. And so Gene would cheat. He would measure it down to here and then slit it up to there. Because he felt the most important thing was that you saw the line of the body. That was the important thing, to see the longest line of the dancer's body. And when you have a body like Sid Charisse's, and legs that go on for miles, you definitely want to show those. There's something, don't believe the stuff that you read online, just call me or send me an email. There's stuff out there that says that Debbie Reynolds, Gene did not want Debbie Reynolds in the picture. He absolutely wanted Debbie Reynolds in the picture. Arthur Freed brought Stanley Donen and Gene to his office and had a little clip of Debbie singing Yabba Dabba Woo Woo. And they said that's the right person. She was not a dancer, so she didn't have to learn how to dance. And Gene choreographed for her. You always choreograph to the woman. And you choreograph, he said it was like when you taught children how to dance. You make the woman look as good as possible. So he created special numbers for Debbie, and then he dubbed her taps afterward. While the tap dubbing is done after the movie, they wear headphones and go into a booth and match the taps to the screen. There's a lot of mythology about the Singin' in the Rain number itself. There is no milk in that water. How many of you have been to a soccer game and it started to rain at night? And if you look down at the playing field, you'll notice that you don't see the raindrops. And if you tilt your head up and you look at the rain against the lights, you see it. So this is really the most artful cinematography and lighting in really an extraordinary job. And very, very difficult to backlight the rain in that number. And if you pay attention to it, Gene's dancing in front of storefront windows. So they have the double whammy of trying to shoot the rain and not have the lights show up in the glass windows as he's dancing by. Now, Gene, one little bit of thing that is true that you'll hear is that Gene was very sick when he shot the Singin' in the Rain number. He had a temperature of about 104. He shot this particular number in 1.5 days. And what he would do, it was the set at MGM, it was all draped in black, and they had rigging that was hung up for the rain. And it is true that one day when all the people came home from Culver City and took showers at the end of the day, that they ran out of water on the set. So they did have to hang extra rigging to get more water, so that is true. But Gene would go outside after he had done a take. He would go out and lie in the sun and bake the fever out of his body and go back in. And I was on the road last year. Singin' in the Rain is 60 years old this year, and beginning in 2012. And I went on the road with Rita Moreno. Some of you might have seen her in something called West Side Story. And she appears in this as Zelda Zonker. And she wasn't in many scenes, but she said what she did is that she went to the set every single day to watch the filming because it was so extraordinary, it was so magical. And she said it was really interesting to watch. She said Gene literally leapt from behind the camera to in front of the camera to behind the camera to check lights, to check everything. And that's what Gene did. He was in constant motion and in filming this. He describes this number as a simple Irish clog dance that anyone can do. I can't. I think a lot of people have asked me why we're still watching Singin' in the Rain 60 years later, and Rita actually had a lovely comment about that. She said it's a perfect musical, that it's a collaborative team that is just extraordinary. The composers, the musicians, the lighting, the cinematography, the acting. It was a true collaborative effort. There was no auteur in this picture. And then one of the other things is, I think you'll find it, even though it's a period piece, I think you'll find that it's very contemporary. The choreography is new and fresh, even though it was done 60 years ago. And that was one thing that Gene always said to me, is that you may have to make something current, but you also have to make it timeless. So it is a huge honor for me to be able to be here with you tonight and to enjoy this with you and to listen to you laugh and to share this experience. I so appreciate everyone here at Royal Albert Hall for inviting me, and I look forward to saying hello to all of you after. It is my great honor now to introduce Maestro Neil Thompson, who will conduct the Royal Philharmonic tonight.